This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Mimi nikupe ushauri wangu tu kama kiongozi. Weka zile tofauti zako. Kwa sababu hata ukienda ukule, ukianza kumpinga, kutembea vijijini, ilhali miradi bado iko vile vile nusu, mingine haijafanyika, wewe tulia saa hii miradi afanye, akifanya na wewe ukienda kwa mwananchi utakuwa na wewe unalo la kusema.
The 2021 Africa Cup of Nations brings us home to another exciting qualifier where Harambee Stars host the Colasantes of Comoros Wednesday, the 11th of November at Kasarani.
And that goal! And it is a goal! Coming on exactly 34 minutes, Johanna Omolo.
Watch it live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 at 7 p.m. as we continue to showcase Africa's best on your true sports partner. This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
This week on Wake Up and Make Up, it's going to be a girly girl affair. Cheers! We continue to munch on what I would call a starter before our main course at Chef U's Sushi Bar. This is what makes the coffee so special. We actually have a real gold leaf. Wow. I don't think we should drink it. We should probably gather it and take it to a gym. We can make a cargo. Get some tips on how to enjoy a days out with the girls.
Next on.
Ningependa tuzungumzie adui wa shetani. Yaani maadui ambao Iblis anawachukia sana.
Hakika ya sheitani ni adui na nyinyi lazima mumchukue nani? Sheitani ni adui yenu.
والسماء ذات البروج واليوم الموعود.
On the next episode of
Mimi sioni faida ya kuishi mama. Hebu mama niambie ukweli, kwa nini ulikuja na mimi kwenye hii nyumba? Kwa nini baba hanipendi?
Sitafikia maneno hayo.
Nimesema ondoka bwana. Amka. Ondoka hapa. Inuka ukakae kule. Nini wewe?
Ni kweli? Jamaa mpigo miaka 10 gerezani, alafu wajua mpigo fanya hizi milioni 3.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
See me yummy man, he me really yummy man. See me yummy man, he me really yummy man. Say ooh.
African kings and queens, and the young ones in between.
We love Majesty and we love King Selassie. 100 on the highway, I ain't taking no calls on my struggles in the rearview mirror. That's the bird.
We've been through this before. Once we go through this again, it would be a tragedy if we can't learn from the past.
Good morning and welcome to KBC Channel 1 News Check on this 11th day of the 11th month of the year 2020. Remember, News Check, we always check on what is happening, and today we have a special treat for soccer fans. The game against Harambee Stars, pitting them against Comoros, will be live on Channel 1 beginning 7 p.m. Remember, it will be live from the Kasarani Stadium. Of course, our reporter will be right there to get what we might be able to miss us when we are watching that live game. But other reporters are also on the ground to make sure that we check how things are happening in various counties and also in various aspects. Today, we are discussing matters BBI, and you do remember yesterday the Council of Governors and of course some MCAs were meeting in Naivasha to actually deliberate on some of the issues contained in the BBI report, and that is what we will be talking about today. And of course I will be having two formidable tag team. Of course, one hasn't arrived yet, but we are hoping that he will be joining us any moment. My name is Ben Troy Njue, and Lucy Mora will be our sign language interpreter for this morning. Remember, we are live from the broadcasting house here in Nairobi. We are also live on YouTube, on Twitter, and also on Facebook. Not forgetting our very, very, very beautiful app, the KBC app. If you do not have it, kindly download it so that you may be keeping up with the news and the latest happening and even programming wherever you are. So straight to our discussion, I'm joined by the Secretary General of the County Assemblies Forum. He is also the MCA for Tinderet. Of course, Kipkirui Chepkwoni, you're not a guest here. It's not your first time here.
Yes, yes.
And of course, we have met on various platforms. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you for having me for this mid-morning session.
Yes.
And I'm glad that we were invited.
A pleasure. Yesterday, the Council of Governors had a meeting in Naivasha, and you said that also the CAF leadership were there. We saw the governors talking about what they would like also incorporated in the BBI report, but we did not have any statement from CAF.
Yes, Ben, there was a statement by the Council of Governors. And yes, we were in Naivasha as well, as the CAF leadership, that is the executive committee. We were discussing what the contents of the BBI report. And in our previous GC meeting 2 weeks ago, a task force was put in place, which is chaired by Speaker Osoi, who is our chairman emeritus of CAF. And we wanted to be able to understand the contents of the BBI report. And we are going to give our proper statement on Friday when we have the General Assembly. You know, the structure of County Assemblies Forum is not like that of Council of Governors. The Council of Governors, all of them were sat yesterday, and whatever statement they were issuing is what exactly the 47 of them have agreed on. Yes. So for us as the leadership, we are just preparing a presentation that we are going to make to the members of the General Assembly on Friday. Yes. Then they will take a position. Then from there, we are able to read a statement that these are what we have agreed on as the general membership, all the MCAs in this country. However, of course, we have issues that we have been able to identify early enough as the leadership, and we are speaking to them as much as we are waiting for the concurrence or approval by the General Assembly for us to take that direction. But these are issues that everyone will appreciate that we need to speak to them.
Indeed. Council of Governors, this is CAF, County Assemblies Forum.
Yes.
What are some of your mandates as CAF?
First, County Assemblies Forum, we need to understand, is an entity that brings together all the MCAs. And we are a registered society. We are a lobby group, so to speak, because we are nowhere in the Acts of Parliament or in the Constitution. And however, because of that, the absence of that in the Constitution, and there is need for us to work as a team, as the county assemblies across this country, and also for us to be able to have a common voice. It was important that we formed such a caucus for us to be able to have a voice, a joint voice on issues that touches on the members' welfare and also the interest to devolution. And so that is who we are. We were hoping, one of the issues that we had made presentation to the BBI task force was that there be a legislation on County Assemblies Legislators Council or Commission for that case. And that is one of the issues that we are saying that has been missed. It is not in the BBI. So now, as we speak again, even when we look at the recommendations from the BBI report, it has left out that component that brings together all the MCAs in this country. And yet, this is something that possibly the drafters of the constitution did not envisage, how now we are going to have a platform where all MCAs are going to have a voice on national issues, or even on devolution matters, or even to be able to partner together for a common goal in this country. So it is one of the issues that we are still hoping that this is something that we are saying was missed. We made a presentation, it was not captured. We are seeking that this again be relooked into.
In the last presser, you talked about you want a sitting with the two principals, the two BBI handshake partners. Have you tried to reach them?
Yeah, we spoke about it, and we still are speaking to that, because when they gave a presser, when the BBI report was launched in Bomas, thereafter the comment was that the task force report period has lapsed, and so any other conversation around the BBI report can only be addressed by the handshake partners. So for us, we are saying we have already recognized that there are gaps in the BBI report that we are seeking that it be relooked into as we process it into a referendum bill. And so the only window for us to get that hard is to the two handshake partners, because the task force doesn't exist. So if we have issues like I'm saying, the one that on the inclusion of the Council of County Legislatures into law, who do we address to? It is only the two principals. So we are saying the issues that we have about the BBI, that we are seeking that this be included as we continue the conversation on the BBI report. The only people who can listen to us are the two handshake partners. So that is why we were asking, and we are still asking. We were hoping that we were going to make our presentation to the two principals yesterday in Naivasha. They didn't make to come, but we are still hopeful, even as per our procedure.
Yes.
After the Friday meeting, the General Assembly meeting on Friday, once we take a common position as the MCAs of this country, that position we also will go hand in hand with a report of our request or demands for that case. And that report has to be taken to the two principals. So even after Friday, we are still seeking that we have a position as a sitting with the two principals for us to have a conversation on the contents of the BBI.
And the General Assembly that you're talking about, is you will incorporate all the MCAs at Bomas, or there is another meeting? Because in your last presser, you talked about you are going to lobby all the MCAs to come to Bomas so that you may have one stand as county assemblies.
Yeah, you know, the structure of county assemblies forum is that, one, we have the topmost organ is the General Assembly, where all the MCAs in this country and all the speakers sit. That is the General Assembly. Then we have the Governing Council, where it has representatives from every county assembly, 2 representatives from every assembly with a speaker. That forms 3 representatives from every county assembly. That forms the Governing Council. Then from that Governing Council now is where the election of the officials is done, where now I am elected as the SG and the chair, where we have, in total, we have 7 officials. Then in the Executive Committee again, where we'll have the 7 officials elected, and also because we have clustered this country into clusters, which is framed around the previous provinces, we have 5 clusters. Those clusters again also will elect a speaker and an MCA to represent them in the EC. That forms an EC of 24 members, including now the CEO. Then, so we have the 7 officials, we have the 24-member executive committee, we have the Governing Council, and the General Assembly. So on such matters that touches on the members, and where members' participation and involvement is required, we'll call upon all the members to be able to take a position or give direction, so to speak, to the executive committee and the leadership on what to do on for us to be able to make progress or to be heard, or to be also to be involved in matters of this country. So we are going to have that meeting of all the MCAs on Friday, so that whatever proposals we have come up as from reading the BBI report as the executive committee, which is going to be ratified tomorrow by the Governing Council before the General Assembly on Friday, so that we have a position now that we are saying this is what an MCA from Turkana, an MCA from Lamu, an MCA from Mwatate, this is the position that all of us are going to take on the BBI report.
Indeed. And on the same, The governors yesterday, they issued their statement, at least as Executive Council. You are also there, and you had some of the proposals that the Council of Governors had. And if at least that clip is ready, we can first of all play to have a feel of what the governors want. But they talked about strengthening devolution. They also talked about regional economic blocks. But if that clip is ready, we can have it fast so that we may be able to actually relate to what the Council of Governors are. But still, as we prepare for the clip, what do you make of the statement by the Council of Governors?
In the statement made by the Council of Governors, you know, we agreed that there are positions or issues of interest to devolution that affects devolution or the counties, that requires the attention of the MCAs and the governors, or the legislature and the executive. And we've agreed with Council of Governors that those positions which are not in dispute, which we are all in agreement with, we will take a position as the devolution members. However, there are issues that affect MCAs alone, and we'll be able to make a proposal exclusively from the governors. And there are also issues that the governors have that does not touch on the MCAs. So we will have a devolution position on issues of common interest. But on issues that we differ with the governors, they'll have their position, we'll have our position. And again, I would be quick to note that, Ben, on this matter of BBI or any other referendum, not necessarily BBI, the people who hold a key stake in it are not the governors. It is the MCAs. If you look at the processing, the channel of processing a referendum, they are the MCAs who are expected to be able to vote on it and even do public participation. Yes. Of course, the governors being the governors, they would also be expected possibly to participate even in the campaigns, either for or against. But the people who are expected by law to vote on it are the MCAs. And so for us, we are saying the governors are making their presentation as governors, or Council of Governors. We will make our presentations on recommendations as County Assemblies Forum on behalf of all the MCAs of this country. Yes. Indeed.
And you are also an MCA of Tindred Ward.
Yes.
How has the civic education been there, and has the BBI really gotten into the hands of Kenyans, and especially your constituents?
Unfortunately, this we have to be very sincere.
Yes.
The first BBI report, when it was launched, we were promised that the copies were going to be sent across the country so that the members of the public can engage in it. I can confirm to you, if there is any member of public in Tindred who has a copy of it, possibly are the ones who have access to the internet. But hard copies, I will tell you, they're mine. Even myself.
Yes.
If I have it in the office of the SG. But as a member of public or a resident of Tindred, I will not be able to access. So those reports did not reach there. Even the second report that we are discussing now, we're still expecting that these reports are supposed to reach the public for us to even engage them. When we tell them we expect them to be able to read these BBI reports, they're not getting them. So now it becomes a challenge even to engage them on civic education, because you are telling them, and we have said this, read for yourself, make a decision. As we talk now, Kenyans might not, a big chunk of Kenyans have not read this BBI report. It is as the leadership now that we have to take the mantle and be able to tell them these are the contents of the BBI report. However, that is against the spirit of the BBI, that we are saying everyone needs to read for themselves. So we are still, some parts of this country are yet to receive the BBI report.
Okay. That aside, there are proposals in the BBI report that, of course, has excited a lot of Kenyans, and especially also MCAs, that they will be able to control at least 5% as a ward allocation fund. What do you have to make of it? Because some people are claiming that it has a lot of gray areas. 5% of exactly what?
Exactly. That is now, that is one of the issues that we have as County Assemblies Forum. That 5% that is being talked about is not clear. And yes, it is Ward Equitable Development Fund. This is something that we've been talking about from 2013.
Yes.
And we had made progress. As we speak, the Senate had already legislated on it. They have already adopted a bill, Senate Bill number 34. which the Senate had already processed. And we participated as County Assemblies Forum. We gave memorandums. We gave our suggestions on how the bill or the fund was to be created. Now, barely a month ago, the members of National Assembly threw out that bill when they were supposed to vote on it. So as we speak, this is not something new that BBI is capturing. This is a matter that we have been in discussion all along. In fact, our recommendation to us now is, among us the issues that BBI now should be, they should not be part of the discussions about BBI, is on the World Equitable Development Fund. Because already that bill is in the National Assembly. And because the processing of that bill, once a bill originates from the Senate and it is approved in the Senate, then it goes to the National Assembly. If it is thrown out by the National Assembly, then there is a committee that is put together to be able, mediation. It goes to mediation. Now, in that mediation, once the mediation team, in the assumption that they concur, it goes back to the National Assembly for approval. So for us, we are asking, as we process this BBI, when you look at the timelines that was shared from Naivasha meeting, the President and the members of the National Assembly, this is something that's going to be processed all through to next year. But we are saying, as members of County Assembly, we don't need to wait that for what the Equitable Development Fund. It is already in the National Assembly. Why can the parliamentarians now proceed with it and fast-track that adoption of that legislation, so that we are not talking about it? Because you will notice, as we talk, the BBI report is talking about 5%.
Yes.
In that Senate bill number 34, we are talking about 30%. So there is already 30% that is in legislative process. We are talking about 5%.
Yes.
And we have said as County Assemblies Forum, this 5% is too mega, that it will not. As we speak, there are assemblies or counties that are already implementing a semblance of World Equitable Development Fund, where they are allocating funds. There are counties, Nakuru, Wazingishu, even Nandi, have already legislated on the same World Equitable Development Fund. Only that we had run into headwinds with the controller of budget, because they were saying that this is a creation of a fund. So somehow we had to amend to be in agreement with the directives from the controller of budget. And that is why we sought, as the County Assemblies Forum, to engage the Senate, being the protectors of devolution under Article 96, that they are able to legislate so that we have a uniform bill, and so that Treasury can be now advised on how they can handle this. And you know, we have to be very clear that we are calling upon the National Assembly. As you talked, you're asking about 5% of what?
Yes.
The Senate bill number 34 is talking about 30% of development money in the county. And that is the bare minimum we're asking. Even yesterday when we discussed, that is what we are going to make a recommendation on, that we take us from 5% to 30%, because it is negating already on the gains that we have made. Some counties, like yesterday, we got to know, counties like Mandera, the governor is already allocating up to 900 million to the wards development as a semblance, even with or without a structure. So now, if we agree to 5%, we are reducing whatever currently is being implemented. Wazingishu are doing up to an average of 40 million per ward for the last two financial years. If we take 5%, you're bringing down what you are having 40 to
so
under 10.
The 5% is not only not new, but counties have started actually implementing.
Yes. 5% is not new. No, the World Development Fund is not new. But the percentage that BBI is talking about is what we are saying, no, we can't agree to that. We want 30% on the minimum.
Yes.
Because we are asking, yesterday we had a discussion, a serious discussion. What are we asking for? We are asking that we want to ring fence development money per ward, so that we solve three issues. One, we are able to have equitable development across the counties. There are some counties where there is still marginalization as we talk. So for you to be able to get the marginalized areas in the counties equitably developed, we need this World Development Fund. Secondly, we settle the issue of malalignment by the governors, or where we have political interference by governors. Where, if I have a problem with my governor, Governor Sang, for that case, if I have a political issue with my governor, we differ on political ideology with my governor. Then, because currently, he has huge say in how the funds are going to be allocated. Why? The budget making process, in 2013 all through to 2016, the members of County Assembly had a huge decision because they could be able to amend the budget recommendation from the executive. But somewhere 2015, the PFM Act was amended so that MCAs, when they sit in the assembly, they can only amend a budget proposal by the governor by 10%. So you have a county like ours, we get about 5 billion. 2 billion will be for development. So if 10%, the county assembly can only amend up to 10% of 2 billion. So if the governor decides to allocate funds to capital projects in the county, say up to 400 million, 600 million, what are you left as a ward to work on? Less than 5 million.
Yes.
So we are saying if we take this 30%,
yes,
we are able to solve those issues. Secondly, or thirdly, we are able to now involve the public in decision making, because as we talk, the budget making process, as legislated or as envisaged in the Constitution, we are supposed to involve the public.
Indeed.
We are supposed to engage the public.
And there's something that we had discussed earlier before we started the show, yes, on public participation, and I've attended around 2, and the last one being in Kajiado, where at least a lot of people don't even know that there is a public participation that should be done so that their input can be factored in the budget making process.
Yes, you see, as we speak, the first cycle of devolution, there was no legislation that would guide public participation. It was only expected that the government is going to involve the public in decision making. However, there was no proper structure, there was no directive, so to speak, by law that would demand of the leadership to do that. Even in budget making process, where I was saying that we are expected to go and sit with the public, for them to be able to prioritize, for them to have an understanding of the budget, how much we have, and what are we going to do. But as we speak, counties don't do proper public participation. I am an MCA for 2 terms. I'm doing my 2nd term. In the first cycle, we would call members of the public to come and do public participation. You would get about 5-10 people appearing in a sub-county.
Yes.
Now we have gone further in the 2nd cycle of devolution to go to the wards. But again, the question is, do we take in the comments or the priorities as per the public? No. It is just done as a way of ensuring that this process, to meet the process. But we are saying there was need for public participation. So in this Ward Equitable Development Fund, we are saying the prioritization of the project will be that the public can make a decision. If we are saying Tindred Ward, for example, will get in this, if this bill goes through, we are getting, say, 30%. Say Tindred Ward will be getting about 24 million. That 24 million, I'm able to call my 6 locations, the development leaders from my 6 locations, and we're able to prioritize the 24 million and say, how do we budget for this money? But as we speak now, they come and make their presentations, but for us to be able to ensure that that money is safeguarded, is ring-fenced, so that the governor does not take the money to the capital projects or pending bills, we need to be able to ring-fence that money. And that is what I'm saying the Ward Development Fund or Ward Equitable Development Fund is going to sort. One other issue that needs to be very clear about Ward Equitable Development Fund. I've said before that we need, the members of parliament have to be genuine enough. As they speak about this BBI report, they should not be telling the public, now we have given MCAs money. Have we been given money? No. We have only asked for money to come to the wards as the smallest unit of development. We are not being given money. And we have asked, as the CAF, that the Ward Equitable Development Fund be structured in the same way that CDF is structured, so that the role of the MCA is limited, because we are legislators.
Yes.
By law, we should not be involved in the issues of implementation of budget. Yes. So for us, that has been very clear. We are not seeking, as MCAs, to be implementers of budget or projects. No, we have only said we want to ring-fence money for wards to ensure equitable development and involvement of the public in prioritization of the project.
Indeed. And away from that, actually, the 5%, really, a lot of Kenyans don't know that even some counties had already started that. And of course, it's a way of making things better. But still on the same, during a presser, the MCAs talked about they deserve the same treatment as members of parliament, and especially if the BBI report is adopted, you'll be able to control 35% of the country's revenue. What is your stand there as the Secretary General of CAF?
The 35% that is in reference is of revenue to be allocated to the counties.
Yes.
So all the 47 county governments will have a share of 35%, up from the what is in the constitution now, 15%. So the minimum of 15% up to 35%.
Yes.
In our presentation, both with the Council of Governors, which all of us were in agreement, we had requested that this be taken to 45. So for the BBI task force to give us 35%, I think it's a welcome thing, and we are happy about that. But for us now, as you say, what do we have to say about this 35%? We are saying, well, we are happy about it. Let it come, because we want more money to devolution. We want more money to be implemented. And now, the more the money that goes to the counties, the more we'll demand that this money now also goes further down to the wards. That is why bring 35%, give 35%, give 30% of development portion of the money of the development of the development.
Yes.
Because you know, as per the PFM Act, which I think most counties flout, is it is expected that 30% of budget is supposed to go to development, and 70% should go to recurrent. But as we speak, some counties are the reverse, 70% recurrent, 30% development. And that is why, in our understanding, we are saying we are not interested about recurrent. Recurrent is supposed to be met by the county.
Yes.
And so, you know, that is the first charge anyway, in every budget. So we are only asking of this 30%.
Of the 35%.
Of the 35%.
Yes.
Goes to the Ward Development Fund. And again, you see, the 35%, of course, the procedure for allocation to the counties, we have the CRA, we have the Senate, although now as we talk, Senate powers have been clipped. And that is one other issue that we have about the BBI report.
Indeed, and actually we're going to get to strengthening of devolution. Even the Council of Governors brought that issue in the BBI report. But you've also asked to be treated in the same way the other legislators in the two houses are treated now that you will be controlling even more funds, 35% of the national fund. Of course, you want to be treated the same way as MPs. Of course, other issues that have cropped up include even the pensions, and of course the same way MPs are treated in both houses.
Yeah, true. We have asked for that, and it is one of the issues that we need to be able to make that request.
What are some of the things that you would want to be done?
One, we are saying we are legislators. All of us are legislators. Yes. Only that we are legislators in the county. We are no lesser legislators than the members of National Assembly. Among the issues that we are asking is same treatment, but not equal treatment. If members of parliament, we have asked, if members of parliament, if you look at the packs for members of parliament, it is 43% of that what the president earns. And it is prorated that way. What we are asking as well is, because we are equal, the county bosses are governors. If we get 43% of what they get, we'll be happy. Because, again, we don't want to make legislators in the counties to look like beggars. And you see, you've heard before that some counties, some MCAs are operating at the whims of the governors. Because you see, when you are treated as a lesser person, there are a lot of temptations that could come your way. So when we are asking that we be treated the same way as the members of parliament, we are asking that whatever the members of parliament are getting, let us also get, but in a pro rata basis. We are not going to ask for what they are earning. No, we understand ourselves. We are the young brothers, but treat the young brothers as the same way. If you are buying your elder brother a shoe, buy us a shoe. You're buying him a size 43, like the one I wear, then buy the young brother size 7. So that all of us are operating the same way. That includes, and not limited to, the issues of pension. As we speak, the only state officers who are not pensionable, or who are not on pension for that case, are the MCAs, the governors, and the CCs in the counties, and the speakers in the counties. And yet, all of us are state officers within this country. You see some commissions which came to life with us, the counties. They are on pension, but we are not on pension. You saw what, you must have seen what Governor Kibwana tweeted sometime last week, that he has served in this country for that long, but he is not on pension. And he was asking a very simple question. There is a requirement and expectation that everyone who has served needs to get some pension as they age or as they exit their service, because there is life after service. So that's among the issues that we're asking. And this is something that we have asked from the beginning.
Yes, indeed. Actually, it's not the first time that I've had MCAs talk about they also want to be treated better in terms of the perks that government officers get. But looking at the number of MCAs that we have in the country right now, and some will serve just for 5 years and they will still demand a pension. Before you are an MCA, you are doing something. 5 years, you are a state officer, and then perhaps you lose your seat. Actually, you can go back to what you're doing, because all those MCAs to get a pension, and we have already we have a ballooning wage bill. We also have public debts.
Yeah, but you see, for purposes of all equity, whether you serve for 5 years or 10 years, even the members of parliament, those who do 1 term, there is a pension. Always, you know, we are not the same. When you do 1 term, when you do 2 terms or 3 terms, you can't get the equal pension amount.
Yes.
So there is a structure. We are saying that let it be structured. Yeah. If I do 1 term, if I'm going to get a pension that is equivalent or supposed to be earned by a 1 term member, so be it. But at least let there be something after service. Whatever I was doing before, some of us came from private industry, and we came into public service. So when you say you revert back, you can't. I'll tell you, how many people can employ politicians? It's only government who can employ politicians. So why can we be treated the same as others? Including, I would tell you without fear of contradiction, that we have spoken about pension before.
Yes.
We have even spoken about car grant.
Yes.
And we are not asking for more. We even ask the president, give us a probox. We will be happy. Because we can't drive the V8s like the members of parliament. We can't. We can't even afford. We cannot be even able to service those vehicles. But a probox, I can be able to service. Or even a single cab.
Yes.
I can be able to service because I need such in the hills of Tindred. So those are some of the things that we are saying. Why are we being mistreated as members of County Assembly? And yet, when time comes, when like the referendum comes, we are the first port of call. It is the same way you would want to say you've been told about human rights. Actually, we are thinking we are treating MCs in this country inhumanly, because you can't expect to mistreat your house help and expect them to take care of your baby when you are away. So that is why we're asking, treat us the same way you treat members of parliament, but not equally. Prorate, and we'll be happy.
Okay. Away from the figures, let's look at devolution. And of course, some have argued that the BBI, as it is right now, it's not strengthening devolution. And of course, the Senate. You had started a conversation on strengthening devolution. And of course, the Senate also needs to be strengthened. That is something also the Council of Governors raised. Is this the same as the CAF?
Yes, I think we share in that sentiment by the Council of Governors that the Senate needs to be strengthened. The strength of the protection of the county governments in Article 96, it is the Senate that has that mandate. Now, when you weaken the Senate and you have given the counties 35%, you have increased the amount of money that you... As we talk now, how much money have we lost in the counties? How many governors have been taken to court for on misappropriation or corruption issues? How many wastages? How many governors have appeared before the Senate? How many governors have been impeached or their issues taken to the Senate? So many of them. So you are increasing the amount of money, but the watchdog, you are reducing their powers. Technically, what are you saying? We are leaving the governors on the loose to go and squander all this money and misuse. Fine, we are there as MCAs. We will do our oversight. But the structure of governance as by the Constitution, we expect that the Senate be there. Because again, the role of the Senate in even revenue allocation needs to be retained as such, because the interests of the counties can only be addressed at the Senate. So for us, we are in agreement with Council of Governors and everyone else who supports that the Senate be made the upper house. And anyway, these are the presentations that we made to the BBI task force when they were collecting the views. We said we were proposing that the Senate be made the upper house. And that is exactly what Council of Governors were also saying, because we are saying we are all in this. If devolution has to remain or has to be strong, Senate has to be strengthened. As we also strengthen the laws that govern the management and use of funds in the counties, including what COB, the BBI task force has recommended on how COB is supposed to manage the counties, that they're supposed to be doing audits on projects. Because yes, I can tell you, that is where the counties have been losing money, where a project is funded for 5 financial years and is never completed. We have such projects in Nandi. So now, and you see, for COB, if they are not able to do an audit before they allow more funding for the same, then we'll continue losing money. So some of these things we are saying, strengthen the Senate, strengthen devolution, increase money to the devolution, to the devolved system of governance, but strengthen the laws in the devolved governance. And that is why also, in the same breath that we are talking about how to strengthen devolution, we have said that we need autonomy in the county assemblies. We need to be able to be autonomous. The county assemblies need to be autonomous so that we are not tied to the executive, so that the governor doesn't hold the bulb or the ball on the issues of finances to the county assemblies. In the first cycle of devolution, you remember even as late as of 2018, the governor for Machakos declined to pay salaries for the MCAs of Machakos, and they had to go to court. You know, some of those things we are saying, the assemblies have to be autonomous. The same way the National Assembly is structured, that they draw their money directly from Treasury. So we have also said we need to draw our money from Treasury. And that is one of the gains that we are seeing BBI has given. They have recommended the establishment of County Assemblies Fund in Treasury, and that is one of the recommendations that we made. And we're saying, fine, now we need to be able to have that implemented immediately so that we are able to strengthen devolution. Have autonomy of county assemblies, strengthen the laws governing the utilization of funds in the county governments, create the World Development Fund, strengthen the Senate. Then this country is going to develop.
Okay, of course. We will still be discussing that because when we have two senators, some have argued that, of course, this is strengthening devolution, and the Senate, others have argued that, of course, we are diluting because 47 counties and each having two senators. We will get back to that after we take our first short, quick break. And in case you've just joined us, this is Channel 1 News Check, and we are looking at matters BBI and the Secretary General of CAF, not the soccer body, but the County Assemblies Forum is right here, and we are discussing what devolution should be all about when it comes to the BBI report. We will be back in a few.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
Unajua nini mama? Niko karibu kwenda shule. Na sitaki kuwa na stress kukuhusu.
Kristi, hebu rudi shuleni.
Wewe enda mtuwakilishe sisi wale tulishindwa na masomo vipoa.
When Angela and Christy meet at the university, their bond somehow clicks.
That is somewhere up there in the sky on his way to China. I'll never forget when he took us to Singapore. Wow, it was fun.
Followed by a friendship that would defy their parallel backgrounds.
Since umezoea shower. Good luck inside there.
How is this door shut?
Kuma bezi nuko mushoishikilie mlango kwa frame.
This new territory presents all manner of fasts as influence, temptation, family histories, and peer pressure set in. The rest of their lives become a story of love, survival.
Wait. Please, mom. Kubali tu story tumalizane twende home.
Influence, backstabbing, jealousy and revenge.
Nimeambiwa tu kule stage muonekana na minji fulani mkikama hapa mtaani.
He decided to sneak from the hostel and go to Ray's studio without consulting me or Tiff.
Join us on Tempted the Campus Diaries as we explore this hilarious never-seen-before drama.
Hebu nilipe pesa zangu wewe.
With a touch to behold. A story of temptation.
Article 132 of the Constitution and House Standing Orders obligate the President of Kenya to address a joint sitting of the Houses on matters that touch on national values. The State of the Nation Address is an annual constitutional requirement where the President is accorded the opportunity to address the nation on all the measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of the national values. President Uhuru Kenyatta has in the past delivered the address between March and May. Last year, he gave the address on April 4th, where he briefed the nation on the progress his administration had made towards realizing his legacy-defining projects. He also dwelt on the war on graft, as well as the Building Bridges initiative. He pointed out further that there will be no turning back on devolution, as it was the answer to unequal development. This year's address had been delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The first case of the virus was reported in the country in March. In this year's address, the head of state will likely take stock of the Big Four agenda. The president may also root for the Building Bridges initiative vehicle, which he believes will deliver equity and national unity. President Kenyatta will also report to Parliament the measures taken to achieve national values, progress in fulfillment of international obligations, and state of security. In their communication to the Houses, on Tuesday, Speaker Justin Muturi and his counterpart, Kenneth Lusaka, said the House attendance will be in compliance with the social distancing directives by the Health Ministry.
Two lionesses struggle to cohabit.
Because I'm not going to stand here and be compared to some...
Hey, Nancy, don't try me.
As the coastal vacation brings Nancy and Joe closer.
Nancy, you are full of surprises. What would you like me to do for you this morning?
Or will it be?
Now, can you give us some space?
No. He? Ni usherati.
Watch your mouth, Mother Teresa.
Or what?
This games that you and Nancy are playing.
Na nyinyi mmekuwa akina nani kuingilia mambo ya wazazi wenu?
Springed, making a comeback. Hotter.
Just gonna stand there and stare at us?
How do you think things will end up here?
This is a conversation between your father and I.
Sometimes it would be good if you would just stand your ground.
Wait, Mtoto, wait. What happens between me and Mama Paul is none of your business.
Bolder.
You know Mama Paul is leaving you.
So what?
What?
I'm done being your puppet and dancing to your tune and manipulation.
We called the clients and told them that your protest status down.
Only on KBC Channel 1. Fridays at 8:30 p.m. This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Wow! Congratulations, Atito. You know, I've always wanted to put on nanga, put on makeup. You know, things like those.
Very good thing. Atito, my friend. I thought you'll never find love after that, Joanne.
Please leave Jaber out of this.
Okay, now I get this. You are married and you still have unresolved issues.
Julia, leave me alone, okay?
Laugh if you must. Laugh, eh? Hata ukitaka kupiga duru, piga. Just don't let me see a fool in front of me.
Njue, who said I'm laughing? Okay, you people are so unfair. Why does everybody think that I do not care what happened to you guys? Guess who the celebrity is? Gatito.
Not yet, teacher.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Welcome back. This is News Check. Remember, we are live on Facebook, on Twitter, and also on YouTube. Kindly, your questions, suggestions. And we are discussing matters BBI. And of course, I'm joined by the Secretary General of the County Assemblies Forum, who is also the Tindret MCA, Kipnusu. But before we get back to our discussion, let's head down to the coastal town of Mombasa, where our reporter Moses Mwadiga is on standby after efforts to preserve historical sites such as Fort Jesus and also the old town are currently underway. Mwadiga?
Tulia Tari. Good morning, Ben Troy. We are coming to you live from Mombasa in Fort Jesus. This is one of the oldest historical sites, and now the event organizers are planning on how this area or this historical site is going to be transformed. We are talking about the old town and Fort Jesus, the oldest historical town, historical sites to be precise. And here I'm joined by the event organizers who are going to tell us what they are planning and what about at the event. Karibu sana.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jay from our company called Jay's Pyrotechnics. I am the CEO of our organization, and today we proudly launch the enchanting experience at the Fort Jesus. This show is a multimedia show complete with new media technology, which is 3D projection mapping, hologram, lasers, and of course a spectacular fireworks display. We want to enhance, looking at the Fort Jesus that we are standing in. It has a very rich heritage, history. It has we are endowed with this proud heritage, and we want to bring it out in a very artistic creation that we have made for you. It has taken us 2 years to make, a total of 80 people working on this project, and now it's coming to fruition. So we're extremely proud of this project. We want to be inviting each and every person, be it a tourist, be it a local citizen, anybody, to come and look at this show and be a part of this enchanting experience. And we are now, I'm going to now hand over to my partner and my colleague. He's our master projection artist. His name is Tamrini, to give you the more technical and the more beautiful effects of our show.
Okay. Kindly, sir, tell us more about and why did you choose this Fort Jesus? Kindly.
Fort Jesus is a historic site. A historic site. It has stood for over 400 years as a majestic and imposing protector over Mombasa. Okay, it has very rich history. So we felt, as Jay's Pyrotechnics and being the master projection artist, that how can we bring this history to life? So as our CEO explained, and my partner, on using 3D projection mapping, augmented reality, lasers, all the newest technology that is currently available. So we took this 2 years ago, brought it together to bring this show to life. This show is also going to contribute to the livelihoods and build the community around the fort, which is the old town. And over the next 10 years, it is projected that we're going to add 20 billion shillings into the economy of Old Town. This show is a world-class show, as termed by the National Geographic. When I say world-class, is that this is comparative to what you're going to see at Disney World, or in Singapore, or in Sydney. And we have been also tagged as the third largest fireworks purchasers after the United States government, Disneyland, and here we are as Kenyans being the third largest purchasers of fireworks in the world.
Okay, thank you so much. You have heard from the organizers themselves on what is happening, and later in the day, CS Amina Mohammed is expected to grace the event later in the evening, and of course bring this historical site to life, of course, for the people of Old Town and Mombasa at large. Mind you, it is a historical site and one of the tourist attraction sites. Back to you, Bedroy.
Thank you so much, Moses Mwadiga, and of course, revamping of historical sites. And you've seen there, they're talking about Fort Jesus, 3D projection mapping, firework displays. It's going to look giusto, as the Italians say. Over 400 years of rich history, and the efforts are underway, and actually taken 2 years to revamp it. CS Amina Mohammed is expected later to officially launch the revamp. Thank you, Mwadiga from Mombasa. Welcome back. This is News Check, and we are looking at matters BBI, and of course, cross-section of people, cross-section of politicians, cross-section of even institutions have talked about we need to have a consensus in the Building Bridges Initiative report. Of course, the Council of Governors yesterday did issue a statement on the same, and that clip is ready. Let's first of all hear what they had to say so that we may be able to continue with this live discussion.
Deputy governors should remain as running mates to the governor and should be of either gender.
In the bid to strengthen devolution, one of the deputy prime ministers should actually be in charge of the devolution ministry.
Position of deputy ministers should be introduced and they should be picked from parliament.
That's just a sample or a taste of what the Council of Governors had to say, and we will look at some of the issues that they proposed should be added into the final draft. As they say, they propose that Senate should be strengthened. They talk about they should be given veto powers on all bills, the position of deputy ministers to be introduced, and they should be picked from Parliament. What do you have to say about that?
I think, Ben, like we've said earlier on, we are in agreement with the strengthening of the Senate.
Yes, and that's where we left it.
Yeah, that's where we left it, yes.
Yeah, and we had talked about 2 senators in each county. Of course, it's going to have ripple effects on even our budget.
No, yeah, definitely.
It won't dilute the devolution, the spirit of devolution.
Now, you see, that is why, if I was to tag that with what you spoke about earlier on, you said when we are asking for all these benefits to the members of County Assembly, will that be able to increase the wage bill? Is this any different?
No.
So, for us, we are saying, if you to take this to strengthen Senate, so be it. But we are saying you have increased the number to 2 senators per county assembly, but you have weakened the powers of the Senate. So for us, we are our interest as county assemblies and devolution or devolved units of government, we want the Senate to be strengthened. I think the drafters, this is one of the issues that we are still hoping that the drafters of the BBI report are going to clarify. I saw a tweet by the Right Honorable Raila that some of these things are yet to be explained so that they are not looking vague, that it is not clear that how are these senators going to be able to serve. Are we going to have them voting on bills? Because Senate, as we speak now, there is vote on delegation. We have 47 votes in the county in the Senate. Now with the double senators, are we going to have them voting as a delegation or again independently? Yes. So those are some of the things that we are saying. If that is going to strengthen devolution Senate, and if that is going to sort the issue of gender parity or affirmative action, fine. But some of these things, they need to be explained further. And some of we've objectively, as the county assemblies, we've said, for now our main focus is on the devolution matters, and that includes the Senate and the issues that touches on devolution. So if it sorts the issue of affirmative action, fine. If the Senate is going to be strengthened, well and good. That is why for us we are saying, we need to be able to strengthen the Senate. And then in the same breath, on the issue of affirmative action, as we speak, only county assemblies have made the gender parity or affirmative action. And that's why in all this discussion from 2015 about the National Assembly having not made to that gender rule, no one has ever spoken about the county assemblies. And no one even has said that the county assemblies are doing well. Because as per if you look at the election laws, it ensures that in the county assemblies we have gender equity or parity. Now, in the proposal by the BBI task force on how that is going to be allocated, nominative positions now dependent on the votes that are garnered by politicians.
We've seen Senate, we've seen Parliament in court, and even governors in court because of the division of revenue. We think this will really help to curb that.
I agree. We are in total agreement with the governors, because as we speak, some of these things, I think the Senate has also, or the Senate needs to speak to this as the ones who protect devolution. Every year, it is unfortunate that as we talk, I think the National Assembly and the Senate now are discussing which financial year audit report, because we are not yet even done with the first circle of devolution audit reports. Yet, some of the things that the Senate are not speaking to, they are not telling this country how much money was allocated to the counties and was not dispersed. Because even as we are talking about the 15% increase to 35, that is what we agreed with the governors. The question is, how much is dispersed? So, and when you look at the legislation, the PFM Act and the DORA, for that case, there is no timeline as to when, after the approval of DORA, or even when budgets are approved, how soon will this money be able to be dispersed? As we talk, some counties take time to get the approval of their requisitions by COB. And so when you ask COB, they say we have not been able to get the IFMI status account from Treasury. So there are some of this, there is the Treasury and there is the COB that are very key, and we support their existence. However, they should not be bottlenecks to devolution. So giving them timelines on when they are supposed to be able to allow or ensure that there is a release of funds is a welcome move and recommendation from the Council of Governors. Because anyway, all of us are beneficiaries of this. The faster the money reaches to the counties, the faster the devolved units get money, the faster development is implemented. Because as we talk, one thing that has come out clear as from one circle of devolution to the next is that if you look at the budgets are approved by July.
Yes.
The first quarter, when there is delay in approval of DORA, the first money to be dispersed to the counties is in October. Now, you have had the first quarter projects planned for the financial year.
Yes.
If money is not released, you can't move. Then you go to the second quarter. The first quarter projects move to the second quarter. By the time you are in February, now governors are running around with the supplementary budgets. In no time, you're already in the second, towards the last quarter of the financial year. So it leads to the delay in the implementation of projects. And even so, as we speak, I think in my projection, the pending bills that we have has been, the contribution to having pending bills is because of the delayed release of funds from Treasury. And again, that has affected devolution and development in the counties. Because we are reaching a point where counties advertise for works and contractors don't want to apply for those works. Why? Because they are still indebted by the county, or the counties have not paid their bills. So the contractors are saying, why would you want to engage with government and they're not paying us? And yet, the governors or the counties have not received the money from Treasury. Yes. So for us, I think that is a welcome move by the recommendation by the governors.
And perhaps to add on that,
so that we want to ensure that the electoral processes in the counties and the constituencies are limited to that, so that we decongest the electoral processes that are coming to the national, so that we only left at the national with the issue of pronouncing the presidential elections. The rest are left at the county and the constituency level. So I think on structuring of that, it is only to enhance the capacity and the responsibilities of the officers that are already devolved. In the counties, we have the county officers who are in charge of the IEBC. We have the returning officers in the constituency. So I think it is only about strengthening what we have. It is not about changing. It's strengthening what we have.
Yeah. Away from elections and IEBC, let's focus on something that touches all Kenyans right now, the COVID-19. There have been proposals that we should establish a health commission so that it may be able to deal with all the issues or all issues regarding health, because after health was devolved, we've witnessed a number of strikes even as we are dealing with COVID-19.
The Health Commission, as we spoke about it, or as the conversation went on during the BBI task force, and with the experience, because this devolution, it came with its challenges.
Yes.
Among the challenges that we are having are the issues of human resource, more specifically in health in the health department. And so the bringing to life of a commission is welcome. However, we need to be very clear about the functions of that commission. And to that, where I sit as the MCA 1400, I would rather take the recommendations of the stakeholders in health themselves. I wouldn't want to speak to that. Fine, yes, I am a biochemist. But would I want to speak to that? But we are saying there are challenges in the management of human resource in the healthcare. But remember, initially, the proposal by the healthcare professionals was that they need health to be returned back to the national.
Yes.
I would say no. As we speak here.
Why?
As we speak here.
Yes.
If that comes back, if health is returned to the national government, the things that the devolution has done, it would not have been done to the national government. I sit here today as the MCA 1400. When I was elected in 2013, there were only two dispensaries in my ward. As we speak now, I have 5. How did we come to this? Because of devolution. Now money can be managed at the counties. We can be able to develop infrastructure, health infrastructure. The challenge we are having is because of lack of capacity in the counties to be able to manage healthcare staff. So if there is a way that we can be able to strengthen healthcare staff, but as to the issue of returning back the health docket to the national government, we would say no, as the devolution partner.
Which talked about now counties have the liberty to purchase drugs from other entities other than KEMSA.
Absolutely, because I think from the onset, the legislation on KEMSA to be the only supplier of drugs and medical equipment to the counties, there was no public participation done about it. The healthcare committees, the health committees in the counties or county assemblies, they were not involved. So that all of us who needed to have been able to have a discussion to see through how it was going to be. And again, remember, some of these legislations which were done by the National Assembly without the involvement of the Senate, because now you realize the value of the Senate. If this, the transition of KEMSA to an authority and subsequently to be the sole supplier of drugs to the counties, if Senate were involved, they would have been able to see through and realize this is going to be a bottleneck. And if public participation was done, I'm sure even the stakeholders in the healthcare system would have been able to say, no, this would be able to create bottlenecks. And so, you know, this is, if we have sufficient authorities that are able to ensure that there is no pilferages of resources in the counties, if DCI is doing their job, if Poisons Board is doing their job, if the assemblies are doing their job, if governors are doing their job, if National Assembly are doing their job, then all these issues will not be there.
Yes, and what you've talked about on wastages, from all the people or cross-section of groups that are saying we want this factored in the final BBI report. We haven't had one talk about the wastage in counties, leave alone the corruption. We've seen governors being summoned by senators and also in court. How can we tame wastage in counties? And we're talking about 15% that was being wasted. There have been a lot of wastage. Now we're talking about 35%, which may lead to even more wastages, right?
And yeah, I think Kenyans are talking about these wastages, only that they're not being heard. They don't have the platform. And the leadership where we are, if we speak about it, we mention it in whispers. But there are wastages. We have to agree there are wastages in the counties. Yeah. And that is why my comment earlier on was that when we increase the funding to the counties, ensure that we give stringent measures to ensure that it is going to do the job that it is supposed to do. That is by strengthening the county assemblies, strengthening the Senate, strengthening the oversight role and oversight bodies and all these investigative bodies, and giving power to EACC. So that if there are any pilferages and wastages in the counties, it needs to be stopped early, and people have to take responsibility. I will tell you, I am happy whenever I see governors called before the Senate to be queried. And you see, by that only, it then means, it limits.
Yes.
Even whoever was having thoughts on corruption or in being involved in wastages, they would be scared. But you see, at the end of the day, some of these bodies, they have become a scarecrow. We know that they don't do much. EACC, the governors are only taken to record statements. 1 year, 2 years down the line, nothing is done. They finish their term, they come back again, and cases are still piled up. Why can't we have these cases concluded so that Kenyans know that everyone is taking responsibility, so that we reduce on these messages and ensure that this money serves Kenyans.
And there is accountability, of course.
Exactly.
Let's shift focus to something that has drew mixed reaction and among leaders, the education. There is a proposal, and of course I think it's a law that requires 2022 elected leaders must have a degree, that is MCAs, senators, governors. And I think it was CAF, the last CAF presser, you talked about going to court to challenge that.
Yes, I think on the issue of requirement on education for MCAs to contest, we have said, let us allow Kenyans to make decisions on the leaders they want to elect.
Doesn't that compromise the bills and motions passed in county assemblies?
It wouldn't compromise because, one, you need to realize the responsibilities of an MC. You don't elect a graduate, you have no representation. And the graduates who are there in that ward, assume even you have 10 or 15 of them, and none of them is interested in contesting. What will you do to that ward? So fine, the Kenyans need to know they need someone who's able to legislate, offers, and represent. And I said yesterday, of the 3 functions, responsibility of an MCA, you don't need a degree to be able to represent. As long as you understand the needs of your people, you speak on behalf of your people. That's representation.
Okay, let's shift focus to independence of government institutions. But before we do that, let me appreciate Jared Kagaka Abeba, who is watching from Kisii, Kiplagat, Kitur. You're watching from Ruaraka right here in Nairobi. Wariahe Maish, you're also watching. Florence Hamende, you're also watching from Kibra. Of course, I'll sample some of your responses before the end of this live show. The Office of the Ombudsman has drawn a lot of discussion. Let me call it discussion. Of course, the women legislator raised that issue, the governors raised that issue, and also a cross-section of leaders. What do you have to say about that?
The Ombudsman's office, as you say,
and other
institutions. I think the contentious ones are the Ombudsman, the Judicial
and
Ombudsman,
IBC also.
And IBC,
yeah.
And also we have the IBC, Judicial Ombudsman, and the police.
Yes, yes.
And the police, NPS. Now, some of these things, like I said, there is need when the BBI report, when they're going to do civic education, to explain to Kenyans the rationale behind all this. I think it is us Kenyans who are supposed to make a decision. But where we sit as MCAs, we are asking for autonomy in the county assemblies, because we know that there has to be, the principle of governance is that there has to be separation of powers. So that we ensure every arm of government is independent and is able to do their mandate without interference of the other arm of government. That is why we are saying we want the assemblies to be autonomous, because we don't want interference from the executive. So for us, we are saying, as we continue in this conversation, the rationale behind all these recommendations, it needs to be explained clearer to the public, so that as we proceed to processing the referendum, we Kenyans are making an informed decision. But for me, on the issue of IEBC, because that is where running, and like you said, on the issue of the debt, I think we have to be very clear that the members of parliament are failing Kenyans, because the people that are expected by the constitution to be able to monitor and gap the debt ceiling in this country are the members of parliament. So all these things we are talking because one person or two people who are in governance are failing. And so at the end of the day, it fails. Because now we are talking about the wage bill that is going to be brought about by the BBI report, vis-a-vis our debt burden. If members of parliament were able to manage the debt ceiling, we would be able to say we have money. Our economy can be able to handle this BBI recommendation. So now we are waiting, unless the members of parliament have a way out to be able to fix the debt ceiling that we have in this country, then we will still continue to have a problem. And I said, it is I'm sure that is one of the expectations of the Kenyans, that once we read the final document on the BBI bill, we are able to be told how it's going to be addressed, how it's going to be sustained economically, and how it's going to be able to create, to increase or expand the economy of this country. And you've had voices speaking to this. You've had Musalia Mudavadi speaking to this. You've had the agriculture or the pastoralists speaking to this. We are also speaking to it that the agricultural component in the country needs to be increased. So those are some of the things that I think, as we continue the conversation, there are questions that need to be answered.
Indeed. And before we look at the expanded executive, let's look at the role of the deputy governor. Of course, you are an MCA, and the deputy governors, even yesterday, they came out clearly talking about we need to have a clear job description.
We welcome that as the County Assemblies Forum, because it is something that it is a lacuna in law that needs to be fixed, that you have a deputy governor who has no responsibility. So for us, we are in support that they be given responsibilities. As to their demands on what the responsibilities they need to be given, I think it's a conversation they can have with the governors and have a way forward. But for us, where we agree is that they be given responsibilities, so that like my chairman mentioned yesterday, so that they are not reduced to be the ones who are reading the newspapers on Monday to Friday and giving the governor analysis of what is in the news, because they have no clear responsibility.
Yes, we've
some
seen,
of them don't even have offices, or if they have offices, they don't go there, because what are you going to do? Even if the governor has not designated duties. So let's have in law so that we are not paying someone for nothing.
Of Katiba Bora. We wish to state that even as a country considers for the constitution amendments, that we are disappointed by the implementation of the 2010 Constitution 10 years later. It's quite evident that the process has been passive and only focusing on areas that favor those tasked with its implementation. We call upon the tasked stakeholders in the implementation process to rejuvenate the faith of Kenyans by fully implementing the 2010 Constitution to the letter. This will be a maximum guarantee to Kenyans that the proposed amendments under BBI will be fully implemented. The Executive Committee of the Kenya Council of Church Alliances and Ministries, after carefully reviewing the BBI report, wishes to state the following. Number one, During the 2010 referendum, the church raised pertinent issues by highlighting some contentious provisions in the Constitution on issues on legalization of abortion and homosexuality, threat to religious freedom, etc., which we still express the need to be addressed. 68.6% of Kenyan voters voted for the 2010 Constitution. However, in the spirit of building bridges, we need to bring on board the 30% of those who voted against the Constitution. It is time to make peace with our past. BBI was meant to lead us to a more united and cohesive country. The 2005 constitutional referendum left the country more divided. We should learn from the past. We welcome the idea of building bridges. Some have been built and others broken. There is need for an extension of the period to ensure that we achieve a united nation. No Kenyan should be left behind. Number 3, the issue of independence of the three arms of the government needs a critical discussion and solution. The proposal by the BBI on the introduction of the judiciary ombudsman to be appointed by the president will affect the independence of the judiciary. The current tussle between the executive and the judiciary on the appointment of judges is a clear demonstration on the importance of safeguarding the independence of this critical arm of government. We all need a judiciary that enjoys the confidence of Kenyans so that it can serve as an arbiter, even in times of elections where losers will seek justice with confidence that the outcome will be fair and just. Number 4, we acknowledge that the BBI identification of divisive elections to be the problem. We are, however, opposed to the proposal on the Electoral Management Body. Welcome the proposal for a 7-year tax amnesty on youth's enterprise as a way of empowering them. The implementation of this proposal needs proper frameworks to ensure that it's not abused and used to benefit those who are politically connected. Number 9, the 2010 Constitution established independent commissions, which include the National Police Service Commission. This was to ensure independence of the National Police Service from interference from any public or private persons. The proposal to have the Kenya Police Council to be headed by the Cabinet Secretary for Interior will compromise its independence by giving the executive an increased role in the running of the service. We are opposed to this proposal and call for the retention of the current structure as it is. Number 10, the contentious 2/3 gender rule, as contemplated and envisaged, has not been implemented. We find the recommendations to scrap the women representatives' seats in the National Assembly and have them replaced by women Senate seats in the Senate, which is a lower house, to be retrogressive. Women need to be involved in making critical key decisions in the running of the government, with most of the crucial legislations being passed in the National Assembly. Let them not be pacified. We also call upon the government and all concerned stakeholders to carry out extensive civic education on the same and have people make their own independent choices. We recommend that a national delegates conference be convened so that the outstanding issues are discussed and consensus achieved so that BBI process does get us more united and a cohesive country. We are concerned about the hurry, the speed at which some of our political leaders want this process completed. We need to make sure the bridges are built and not burned. We need, like we have said, a more united and cohesive country. Let's remember, there will be Kenya even after 2022.
Indeed, that is a live feed from the Biblic House here in the county of Nairobi, where the Kenya Church Alliance and ministries bringing together all the evangelical churches in Kenya are raising their concerns on the BBI report. And I will rope in Secretary General Chepkwony on this one. Some of the issues were some of the issues that we were discussing right now. Actually, some of the issues raised by the church is that the 2010 referendum, of which brought out the oranges and the bananas,
progressive implementation. However, the question for me I would be asking is, as Kenyans, we should be able to identify the failures by government, legislatures, and every part of public service or state officers that have failed to be able to implement parts of the constitution that had timelines. I think we have not stopped calling out the members of parliament for failing to implement the two-thirds gender rule. And yet, it was in the constitution and it had timelines, and they are the ones who legislated on some of these things. So I think beside the other components of the constitution that need to be implemented fully, can we do an assessment of the sections of the constitution and parts of the constitution that are timelines, and we're able to say we have been able to implement it? Those which needed legislations, have parliament been able to legislate on that, so that we are able to now to say how much of the constitution have we implemented, how much of the constitution have we failed to implement, how much of the constitution have we objectively decided not to implement, so that we can be able to have that conversation. And I think it's going to inform the talk as we continue to talk about the possibility of us having a referendum.
Of course, one of the issues that has really come out strongly in the BBI, and of course also from all the people that want their ideas factored in, is the expanded executive. And of course, they have raised their concerns.
Yes.
Providing inclusivity. They don't feel as it is will provide adequate inclusivity. And of course, the Building Bridges Initiative report want that. That is one of their key mandates.
Clearly, I think there are some parts of this, the BBI report, that needs to be enhanced. When recommendations were being given, which also, as CAV, we made recommendations that there be the office of the Prime Minister, the office of the official opposition. However, there was then when they were collecting views, there was the recommendations that we ensure, as we create these offices, we ensure that there will be regional representation.
Yes.
However, that component of regional representation has been missed, because you see, this country, we are so diverse, and if we want to run away or progress from the issue of tribes. You know, the discussion that we're talking about is the possibility of the 5 big tribes taking these positions, leaving out other minority groups who, you know, in some regions of this country, you have about 10 tribes. And yet that is a region. So in the discussion then, as we were making presentations, the talking was that we have these positions, but they should be able to come from the regional. They should have a regional representation to give the national outlook. So I think that is one thing that as we progress as the drafters or as the proponents of the BBI continue to fine-tune this document to a product that is really that will have to meet the standards of it to in the Senate, or were they fixing representation in the Senate? So that again we go back to the National Assembly and say, okay, fine. So after removing the women, what is the way forward on ensuring that the National Assembly has gender or affirmative action is adhered to in the National Assembly, so that we are able to speak to the Senate and to the National Assembly.
Finally, as we wind up, your last word. I know you will be having your voice just as this church has done, but what can we expect that we haven't heard from the Council of Governors? Perhaps we've not heard from civic leaders, we've not heard from even the church or the clergy.
I think what we expect from us as the County Assemblies Forum is that we would want to promise Kenyans that when push comes to shove and eventually this bill lands in the County Assemblies, as by the constitution, the county assemblies, we have 90 days for us to be able to process that bill. I can only promise Kenyans that we will do our part as the county assemblies and as the MCAs of this country to ensure that public participation on this document is done, because we have that responsibility in the county, that once it lands to us, every county assembly is going to do public participation to ensure that the Kenyans are involved from every part of this country, so that as we make the decisions as representatives of the people, we are making an informed decision based on the feelings and aspirations of the Kenyans. That we are not going to process this document because I am Kipnusu coin. We are not going to process this document because we are MCAs. We are processing this document because we are representatives of the people. And so we must be able to listen to the people that we represent, whatever they would say. I can promise you, for me, whatever my people would tell me, as we do civic education, that we are going to go by that, because we represent people. We don't represent our interests. We represent the interests of the people. So the only promise I promise Kenyans is, as with the county assemblies of this country, we will do public participation and ensure that civic education is done so that Kenyans make informed decisions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is the Secretary General of CAF, not the soccer body, but County Assemblies Forum, Kipkurui Chepkwony, of course, giving us an insight of what BBI and some of the recommendations that have been raised. Of course, they will be issuing a statement on behalf of all the MCAs in the country, and he is also the TINRED MCA. Thank you so much for your insight and your time, of course.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching. My name is Ben Troy Njue. Simon Karuda is our sign language interpreter. I'm now leaving the baton to my colleague Timothy Kipnusu, who will handle Tamrini. Good afternoon.
In the rearview mirror, that's the burn. We've been through this before. Once we go through this again, it would be a tragedy if we can't learn from the past.
The road to the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations brings us home to another exciting qualifier where Harambee Stars host the Colasantes of Comoros Wednesday, the 11th of November at Kasarani.
And that goal! And it is a goal! Coming on exactly 34 minutes, Johanna Omolo.
Watch it live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 at 7 p.m. as we continue to showcase Africa's best on your true sports partner.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
See me yummy man, he me really yummy man. See me yummy man, he me really yummy man. Say ooh.
African kings and queens, and the young ones in between.
We love Majesty and we love King Selassie. 100 on the highway, I ain't taking no calls on my struggles in the rearview mirror. That's the burn.
We've been through this before. Once we go through this again, it would be a tragedy if we can't learn from the past.
Unajua nini mama? Niko karibu kwenda shule. Na sitaki kuwa na stress kukuhusu.
Kristi, hebu rudi shuleni.
Wewe enda mtuwakilishe sisi wale tulishindwa na masomo vipoa.
When Angela and Christy meet at the university, their bond somehow clicks.
That is somewhere up there in the sky on his way to China. I'll never forget when he took us to Singapore. Wow, It was fun.
Followed by a friendship that would defy their parallel backgrounds.
Since umezoea shower, good luck inside there.
How is this door shut?
Kuma bezi nuko mushoishikilie mlango kwa frame.
This new territory presents all manner of fasts as influence, temptation, family histories, and peer pressure set in. The rest of their lives become a story of love, survival.
Wait.
Please, ma'am, kubali tu story tumalizane twende home.
Influence, backstabbing, jealousy, and revenge.
Nimeambiwa tu kule stage muonekana na minji fulani mkikama hapa mtaani.
You decided to sneak from the hostel and go to Ray's studio without consulting me or Tiff.
Join us on Tempted the Campus Diaries as we explore this hilarious never-seen-before drama.
Hebu nilipe pesa zangu wewe.
With a touch to behold. A story of temptation. On the next episode of
Mimi sioni faida ya kuishi mama. Hebu mama niambie ukweli, kwa nini ulikuja na mimi kwenye hii nyumba? Kwa nini baba hanipendi?
Sitamke maneno hayo.
Nimesema ondoka bwana. Amka. Ondoka hapa. Inuko kakae kule. Nini wewe?
Ni kweli? Jamaa mpigo miaka 10 gerezani, alafu wajua mpigo fanya hizi milioni 3.
Kitambulisho hicho ni ishara tosha kwamba ni wakati wa Tamrini ya Channel 1 leo, ikiwa ni siku ya Jumatano tarehe 11 mwezi Novemba mwaka 2020, nikiwa na wingi wa matumaini kwamba uburi wa afya mahala popote ulipo. Karibu tuangazie yanayojiri mijini, vijijini na vitongojini katika kipindi ambacho na kienzi ambacho kinajia kila siku kuanzia mwendo wa saa 6 hadi saa 7. Naitwa Timothy Kipnusu, na hii leo mtazamaji bado tutakuwa tunazingatia mdahalo kuhusu ripoti ya jopo la maridhiano, tukiangazia ufahafu wa ripoti hiyo katika taifa hili mtazamaji, na ikizingatiwa kwamba hapo jana baraza la magavana limetoa mapendekezo kadha wa kadha iweze kujumuishwa kwenye ripoti hiyo kabla ya Wakenya kujitosa kwenye kura ya maamuzi kuamua mbivu na mbichi kwenye ripoti hiyo. Tutakuwa nazungumza na baadhi ya viongozi akiwemo mwakilishi wa wadi ya Eastleigh Kaskazini Osman Ado, hali kadhalika Wycliffe Alutalala ambaye ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa. Lakini kabla ya haya yote mtazamaji, tuweze kutupia jicho shajara ya wanahabari. Itakuwa inajia kwa muda usiokuwa mrefu. Hata hivyo mtazamaji, kumbuka kwamba mdahalo unatokota kutokana na ile wito wa baraza la magavana hapo jana, ikiwemo kuwepo kwa tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka nchini IBC kwenye kaunti zote 47 kugatuliwa kwa tume hiyo, na vile vile wakaweza kupendekeza kuwepo kwa afisi au kuchaguliwa kwa naibu mawaziri katika taifa hili. Kadhalika kuzungumzia kuhusiana na swala zima la viongozi wanawake ya naibu magavana wapatiwe uhuru, kwamba isiwe ni mwanamke kama ilivyokuwa imedokezwa na baadhi ya viongozi na wanaharakati kutoka pembe tofauti ya taifa hili. Kama ilivyodokeza basi, ambao watakuwa wananipambia kitengo cha mahojiano, nikianza ambaye ameketi karibu nami ni Wycliffe Alutalala ambaye ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa. Karibu sana Alutalala. Na Osman Ado ambaye ni mwakilishi wa wadi ya Eastleigh Kaskazini. Kuntu kwa kuweza kujitenga kwenye kitengo cha mahojiano.
Asante.
Na mtazamaji, una fursa ya kuzungumza nasi kupitia mitandao ya kijamii kwenye kurasa wetu wa Facebook KBC Channel 1, kwenye Twitter KBC Channel 1, na vile vile unaweza kututizama moja kwa moja kwenye YouTube na vile vile Facebook at KBC Channel 1 na kuweza kuacha ujumbe wako. Tukinafasika tapitia ujumbe wako. Mfasiri kwenye kulia kiombo chako mtazamaji ni Lucy Moren. Kianza na Mheshimiwa Ado, manake mdahalo vile vile umetokota kuhusiana na wakilishi wadi kwamba siku ya Ijumaa mtakuwa mnatoa taarifa kamili kuhusu ripoti ya jopo la maridhiano. Tutarajie nini Ado?
Tunatarajia saa hizi unajua kila mtu amesema ya kwamba hii document iko na kasoro. Na sisi kama wakilishi wa mawodi tuko na list yetu kama vile MPs walikuwa na list yao na magavana walikuwa na list yao. Sisi MCA pia tuko na list yetu ambayo tungependa kupeleka ili tuone kama inaweza kuongezwa hapo ndani. Yes.
Kwa hivyo uwezi kutaja baadhi ya maswala?
Naweza kutaja baadhi ya maswala.
Naam. Pengine mmojawapo tu.
Kuna ile group hizi imetolewa inaitwa irreducible minimums. Na hiyo iko na demands. Na demands acha nikusomea kadhaa hapo.
Pengine moja tu au mbili.
Yes. Mambo za ward fund iongezwe kutoka 5% to 30%. Iko mambo ya ndani kama pension. Mtu anaweza kaa kwa miaka 10-15 na hauna pension. Tunataka kutiritiwa ama tulaanishwe pamoja na ma-MP kwa sababu kazi ile tunafanya ni kuwakilisha watu, which is the same thing. Lakini sasa unajua wameweka ile kiwango kubwa ambaye yani hailainishi kazi ya MCA ni yani ni gani na haitambuliki. Hiyo ndio sasa shida ambazo wanataka kuweka katika.
Shikilia hapo Mheshimiwa Ado. Pengine alutalala kuhusiana na masuala haya ya wakilishi wadi na vile vile kuwepo kwa hazina ya wadi ambayo imependekezwa kwenye ripoti ya jopo la maridhiano.
Naam, kibinafsi kabla tuingilie swala la yale mapendekezo ama yale matakwa ambayo yamewekwa pale na wawakilishi wadi, yafaa tukumbushane ya kwamba hii nchi shida ambayo tulio nayo ni kwamba tunapenda kujirudia. Mimi niko na ufahamu ya kwamba kuna mswada ambao uko katika Seneti. Ule unaitwa Senate Bill number 34 ambao ulikuwa unaunda hii Ward Development Fund. Na huo mswada ulikuwa Senate na nadhani ukapelekwa bunge, na mwezi moja ama mbili iliyopita huo mswada ukatupiliwa mbali. Na katika ule mswada walikuwa wanapendekeza kwamba hii pesa ya kwenda kwa wadi iwe 30% ya kile kiwango cha maendeleo kile kinaenda katika county. So tunapozungumzia pendekezo la BBI ambapo BBI inapendekeza 5%. Jambo la kwanza ukisoma kile kitabu utagundua kwamba hii 5% haijulikani ni 5% ya nini. Hilo ni swala la kwanza.
Lazima waweke wazi.
Yes. Number 2, katika ile bill ambayo ilikuwa katika Senate, hii Senate Bill number 34, pendekezo lilikuwa kwamba 30% ya ile pesa ya maendeleo. Unajua wakati pesa inaenda katika county, iko na matumizi mawili. Kuna kiwango kinaenda kwa maendeleo na kuna kile kiwango kinaenda kwa mishahara. Now, katika katiba tunatakana kwamba katika expenditure za county 30% iende on salaries ama mishahara, 70 iende kwa maendeleo. Ingawaje halifanyiki hivyo katika kaunti nyingi. Unapata kwamba kwa sababu ya zile wale wafanyikazi ambazo hizi kaunti ziliridhi kutoka kwa zile manispaa na hizo mashirika mengine, unapata kwamba wanatumia zaidi ya 30% kwa mishahara. But hata hivyo ile pendekezo ambayo iko katika Senate ni kwamba 30% ama 30% ya ile pesa ambayo imetengwa kwa county kwa ajili ya maendeleo iende katika ward. So kile wakilishi wa ward wanasema ni kwamba kulingana na hii report ya BBI, kama tutapitisha kwamba 5%, tujue ya kwamba mahali tuko sahihi kuna county kadhaa ambazo already ziko na hii ward fund. Kwa mfano county kama Mandera, Uasin Gishu, hata Nandi. Tayari ukienda county kama Mandera, gavana wa Mandera anapeana almost 900 million kwenda kwa ward. So ukipiga 900 million out of ile pesa Mandera upata around 5 billion. Ni zaidi ya 5%.
Shikilia hapo. Pengine wazo lako kuhusiana na swala hili ambalo ameliibua, ambalo vile vile ile mswada ambao uko kwenye bunge la Seneti kuhusiana na kuhakikisha kwamba kuna fedha ambazo zinapiga jeki miradi katika maeneo ya mashinani, na umeweza kudokeza kwamba 5% hadi 35 ni masuala ambayo mtaangazia siku ya Ijumaa kwenye ukumbi wa Bomas, mkutano ambao utawaleta wakilishi wadi wote. Unasema nini?
5% ni total budget of the county, of that particular county. Kama sisi tulifanya bill ambayo ilikuwa inaitwa Water Development Fund, ambayo tulipitisha in the last assembly 2014, I think, somewhere there. Sasa hiyo 5% ni total budget of the whole county. Ukicompare na tuseme kama ni 30 billion, 5% ni kidogo sana. Lakini sasa hata hiyo 5% kama hata saa hizi tunayo hizo miradi za ward, lakini kwa sababu ya shida ya sheria tulishinda kuita Ward Development Fund. Sasa kuita Ward Development Projects, ambaye MCA anaambiwa lete project moja ambayo tunafund hii mwaka. Inakuja kitu between kama 15 million per ward. Hata saa hizi ziko. Lakini sasa ukiongezea hiyo 30%, minimum kwa tuseme kila mwaka ukijenga barabara moja ndogo, that's now the minimum ambayo unaweza kafanya. Ukiongezea ile development nyingine sasa za kutoka sasa executive ile wangefanya, kuongezea sasa ile wewe mwenyewe ume-identify, lakini kwa budget na ADP, the Annual Development Plan, pia hiko na development katika ward. Isipokuwa sasa haiwezi kwa kila ward, kwa sababu barabara moja inaweza kachukua, kama ni barabara refu inaweza chukua pesa mingi, na sasa huwezi kuweka kila ward uweke barabara moja refu kwa sababu pesa haitoshi. So the minimum ambayo unaweza kafanya ni hiyo barabara moja ndogo kila mwaka, ambaye ni which is kwangu naona ni acceptable, is okay.
Bila shaka.
Yes.
Naam. Tukisalia kwenye swala hili la kufanikisha ugatuzi, tuliona kwamba hapo jana wale magavana wakiongozwa na mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana Wycliffe Ambeto Paranya wamedokeza kwamba mashirika yote ambayo yanatekeleza wajibu ambayo yamegatuliwa hakikisha kwamba fedha zinaelekezwa kwenye serikali za county na ili iweze kufanikisha maendeleo. Pengine usemi wako kuhusiana na swala hili, Alutalala?
Hilo ni swala ambalo kila Mkenya anakubaliana nalo, kwa sababu ile tulipitisha katiba ya mwaka 2010 ilikuwa ni kwamba maendeleo yaende mashinani. Kwa hivyo tunapopendekeza kwamba pesa zinaenda katika counties, hilo ni swala njema. Lakini shida yangu binafsi
swali ni je, wataachilia fedha hizi haya mashirika? Manake kidogo kumekuwa na mdahalo kwamba huenda itakuwa vigumu zaidi kuachilia fedha hizo, manake ni fedha ambazo pengine zinatumika na masuala mengine, pengine sio tu serikali za county.
Na unajua sasa hatuwezi zungumzia kupeleka pesa kwa county bila kupeleka majukumu. Sababu hizi pesa zinaenda kufanya kazi. So hatuwezi kuwa tunaongelea kuchukua 30% ya mapato ya serikali kupeleka kwa county, na hizo kazi ambazo zinatakana zifanywe na hiyo pesa zibaki katika serikali kuu. So kama tutakubaliana kama Wakenya kwamba hii pesa inatakana iende kwa county, ni sharti zile kazi ambazo zinatakana zifanywe na hii pesa pia ziende pale mashinani. Kwa hivyo hiyo mimi nakubaliana nao.
Naam.
Naona kama governors wametoa maombi 5 hapo.
Na moja ipo ya masuala haya.
Ya kwanza hiyo ya parastatals. Parastatals kwanza niko na shida na wao. Kwa sababu the CEO and others are appointed. They are not hired. So sorry, I have to speak in English hapo kwa sababu Kiswahili yangu naona kama iko limited. Yule mtu ambaye appointed as the head, he's answerable to the appointing authority. She has no interest in the your parastatal, whether it does good or bad. That's not his problem. So he only looks at the interest of the hiring authority. Hapo ndo sasa liko shida kubwa sana. Watu wanauliza kwa nini parastatals ziko na corruptions mingi. But these people has been appointed, and he doesn't look at the interest of that organization. He's looking at the interest of the hiring authority. Hapo there must be change there. Lakini sasa ile kazi ambayo inatakikana wafanye kwa county, kama ni pesa hiyo ingekuja kwa county, nafikiri ingefaa bora kuliko ikuwe hapo mahali watu wanacheza game hapo.
Naam. Yes. Swala nyeti zaidi. Apigide ulikuwa na wazo kuhusiana swala hili?
Na wazo kuhusu hili swala la mashirika. Unajua hii Kenya shida ambayo tuko nayo ni kwamba tuko na sheria nyingi sana ambazo hazifanyi kazi. Kwa mfano sasa ukiangalia wizara, kwa mfano wizara ya kilimo. Kulingana na katiba, kilimo ni kazi ya serikali ya kaunti, si kweli? Naam. Na sasa ukiangalia wizara ya kilimo iko na mashirika mengi sana chini yake. So kwa swali ni kwamba kwa nini pesa ambayo inatakana iwe inafanya kilimo pale mashinani imewekwa Kilimo House Nairobi? Na ilhali kule katika county tuko na waziri wa kilimo katika county na ofisi yake. So hawa watu wanalipwa mshahara pale katika county, lakini pesa ambayo wangetumia kufanya pale imewachwa wapi? Kilimo House. Twende wizara ya afya. Afya kwa default. Now unapata kwamba ukiangalia bajeti ya wizara ya afya karibu 60% inabaki afya house. Ile hali wale watu ambao wanatakana wanapata huduma pale wanahudumiwa na county. So I think kama tunahitaji kusonga mbele kama taifa, ni lazima tukubaliane ya kwamba tunapozungumzia mambo ya pesa kwenda mashinani, hizi kazi lazima ziachiliwe ziende mashinani. Sababu venye mheshimiwa amesema hapa, mtu ambaye ni MD wa kampuni kama AFC for example, Agricultural Finance Corporation, yeye hajachaguliwa na Wakenya. Yeye ameappointiwa pale na waziri wa kilimo.
Kwa hivyo
hakuna mwananchi, hakuna mwananchi ambaye atamuuliza maswali, sababu hakumuuliza, hakumchagua. Sasa ndio unapata kwamba uwajibikaji hakuna, na unapata hata miradi katika hilo shirika inafanywa kwa mapendeleo.
Na swala muhimu zaidi tutakuwa naangazia zaidi, tuweze kuzamia vile vile kuhusiana na mapendekezo ambayo yalitolewa hapo jana, ambayo vile vile yameibua dahalo mkali kuhusiana na kuwepo kwa ile Tume Huru ya Uchaguzi na Mipaka nchini IEBC 47 iweze kugatuliwa ili kuweza kuzima masuala ambayo tumekuwa kishuhudia vita baada ya uchaguzi na kuwa na uwazi na uhuru katika zoezi lolote la uchaguzi. Nikianza na mheshimiwa Ado.
Yes,
tume kugatuliwa inaashiria nini? Kugatuliwa iwe katika kaunti zote 47 na sio kuwa kwenye kiwango cha kitaifa kama ilivyo kwa sasa.
The IEBC.
Naam.
Hiyo ni swala, I think it's a very good idea. Kwa sababu sasa ku-devolve inamaanisha ya kwamba hata hiyo kazi ambayo kila hiyo uchaguzi itakuwa rahisi. Sasa vile sahizi Marekani wanafanya kwa kila state, kila is responsible for the election, that they oversee election and they have their own rules and laws that's approved ambayo watu wamekubaliana. So kila 47 counties kama itakuwa na the tume ya uchaguzi wake ambaye ni huru, ambaye hai-appointiwi na political parties na any other organization but is hired professionally. Nafikiri hiyo itasaidia. Yes.
Vile kuhusiana swala hili la tume IEBC kugatuliwa, mapendekezo ya magavana?
Okay, mimi kwangu nadhani magavana walipokutana pale Naivasha jana walikuwa bado wako katika ile mihemuko ya ile kura ya Marekani.
Naam.
Na najua wengi labda walifurahia vile inafanyika kule.
Walifurahia ushindi wa Joe Biden.
Walifurahia ushindi wa Joe Biden. Lakini ukweli ni kwamba kwangu binafsi Kenya hatujafika hapo. Ni wazo nzuri, ni wazo ambalo linaweza wekwa kwa meza kwa wale wataalamu wa mambo ya uchaguzi. Lakini ni swala ambalo litahitaji muda na litahitaji utaalamu mingi sana kutumika, sababu ukiangalia mahali tuko kama Kenya, katika sheria zetu za uchaguzi na vile hata tunafanya uchaguzi wetu in terms of infrastructure, funding na kila kitu, sidhani kama kwa sasa, kwa mfano kama tungesema kwamba hii BBI inapita leo na inatumika 2022, sioni kama tuna uwezo wa kugatua IBC na ifanye kazi vile tunaweza sema kama ile
ikizingatiwa kwamba kwa sasa tayari tuna makamishna ambao hawajachaguliwa kwenye tume hiyo na kumekuwa na vuta ni kuvute kwa
kunaweza anzisha 2027.
Ndio nimesema ni wazo nzuri ambalo linaweza pewa wataalamu waliangalie kwa ajili ya kuangalia mbele, lakini kwa sasa na kwa ajili ya hii kura ambayo tunaelekea, I think hatuwezi. Na pia tunapozungumzia mambo ya IBC, ningependa kusema ya kwamba tukiangalia sheria zetu hapa Kenya, na ukiangalia hata zile the 9-point agenda ile ili create hii kamati ya BBI, kwangu binafsi nikiangalia zile 9-point agenda, hakuna ile agenda pale ambayo haina jibu katika katiba tulio nayo sasa.
Kwa hivyo unahisi kwamba masuala ambayo tungeyaweza kuyatekeleza ni kwanza ni kwenye katiba
yote yamo katika katiba, na yale ambayo hayako katika katiba yako katika ripoti ya tume fulani ambayo iliwahi undwa ikakula pesa za Wakenya, na ripoti yake iko mahali inalala. Kwa mfano hili swala la uchaguzi 2007-2008 tulikuwa na ile tume ya Kriegler ambayo ilipendekeza vizuri sana kwamba mabadiliko yoyote kufanyiwa tume ya uchaguzi yafaa ifanywe kabla ya miaka 2 kabla ya kura. Leo hii tuko hapa chini ya miezi 20 kufikia kura ya 2022, bado tunazungumzia mambo ya kubadilisha makamishna wa IBC. Na ukiangalia ile procedure ya kuchagua hawa makamishna, naweza kuambia by the time tuko na commission kulingana na vile procedure inaenda, labda 1 June hao watu kitambo warudi kwa ofisi, wakuja kwa ofisi, sababu ni watu wageni pale, wajifahamisha na ofisi, waelewe procedures, wafanye kila kitu. Tutakuwa tunabakia na chini ya mwaka moja kwa kufikia uchaguzi. Na tunarudi pale pale ambapo Kriegler alitutoa mwaka 2007. So mimi kwangu zile point 9 ambazo ziliunda hii tume ya BBI zote zinaweza shughulikiwa na katiba ya sasa.
Asante. Shikilia hapo, pengine Mheshimiwa Doku, kuhusiana swala hili ameliibua ambalo vile vile linaibua mihemko kuhusiana na makamishna kubadilishwa kila mara, kwamba tunapoenda katika uchaguzi tunakuwa na makamishna wapya, na inakuwa kwamba ile kufahamiana na afisi na majukumu ya afisi hiyo inachukua muda, na vile vile kuwa na mwingilio kidogo wa kisiasa. Swala hilo kunasema nini?
Hiyo ni shida kubwa katika nchi, na kila saa kwa wale wanasema ya kwamba kama mtu akishindwa, badala ya kubadilisha referee wabadilishe mchezaji. Hapo ndio sasa shida inatokea. So kubadilisha referee kila wakati, inaona kama ile shida ambayo tulitokea last time bado itaendelea kuwa. So hiyo sio idea mzuri ya vile mwenzangu amesema, yani wapewe muda mzuri ya kuwe kwa ofisi ili wafahamiane na waanze kazi vizuri.
Na kuongezea tu kidogo, nataka nikukumbushe kwamba tangu mwaka wa 1992 tumebadilisha tume ya uchaguzi mara 7. Mara 7. Hii mara ambayo tunaenda ni mara ya 8. So swali ni kwamba tume ya uchaguzi ndio shida ama sisi wa Kenya ndio shida kutokubali kushindwa? Hilo ni swala ambalo yafaa tujiulize. Kwa mfano mwaka wa 2002 ile ECK mwenyekiti wake alikuwa nani? Samuel Kivuitu. Katika historia ya Kenya kura 2002 inasemekana kwamba it was the best. Chini ya nani? Samuel Kivuitu.
Hapo kulikuwa na vuta ni
the same Kivuitu mwaka 2007 ndiye anasemekana he was the worst chairman. So shida ni tume ama shida ni sisi wanasiasa?
Swala muhimu zaidi. Tukisalia kwenye tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka nchini IBC, tuangazie kuhusiana na masuala ambayo vile vile yameibuliwa na muungano wa makanisa ambayo yamewaleta makanisa ya kievangelisti hii leo, na vile vile dahalo ambao uliweza kuzungumziwa na baadhi ya viongozi vyama vya kisiasa kuwa na usemi kuhusiana na uchaguzi wa wale makamishna. Kianza na Ado, unasema nini kuhusiana na swala
hiyo? Nasema ni very dangerous. Sio kitu mzuri ambaye italete maridhiano mzuri katika hiyo tume, kwa sababu sasa ikitokea differences, sasa itakuwa huyu atatangaza nani ameshinda na huyu mwingine atatangaza nani ameshinda, na hiyo italete vurugu mbaya kuliko ile ya 2007. Naona kama hiyo inaturudisha nyuma badala ya kutupeleka mbele.
Yeah. Wazo la naibu wa rais Dr. William Ruto kuhusiana na swala hilo la vyama vya kisiasa, baadhi ya vyama vya kisiasa, unasema nini?
Na unajua hilo pendekezo kwanza liko na mapungufu yake. Kwa sababu kwanza linapendekeza kwamba si vyama za kisiasa zote, ni baadhi ya vyama vya kisiasa, zile tunaita parliamentary parties. Na parliamentary parties in Kenya ni ngapi? Ukiangalia ile kwa registrar of political parties, ile mambo ya ile political party funding si inafanywa kulingana na viti katika bunge. Utapata ya kwamba kama tutatumia huo mtindo kuchagua hawa commissioners, then hawa commissioners watachaguliwa na vyama viwili, Jubilee na ODM. Now, Kenya tuko na zaidi ya vyama 40 ambazo ziko active na ziko na hata kama ni MCA mmoja ama wawili mahali, but ziko active. So unaposema kwamba tume ya IBC chaguliwe, makamishna wa IBC wateuliwe na vyama viwili ambavyo ni ODM na Jubilee, unawacha wapi hizi vyama zingine 38? Na number 2, wakati commissioner anachaguliwa na chama, loyalty yake iko wapi? Loyalty yake ni kwa chama kilichomchagua, sababu kiko na mamlaka ya kumtoa. Now, assuming commission iko na makamishna 7, 4 wametoka kwa vyama, tayari wakikaa kama tume wako na majority. Ukweli uongo?
Kweli.
Wako na majority, meaning tume itakuwa chini ya msukumo wa vyama vya kisiasa. Na sasa swali ni moja, kama tume ya sasa ambayo ilichaguliwa kupitia kwa utaratibu wa bunge na wakafanywa vetting, wakati tunakuwa na kura, unasikia watu wanasema huyo mtu wa chama fulani, ilhali hakupendekezwa na chama, ilhali huyo mtu alifanywa vetting. Sembuse leo hii tukipata yule ambaye tunajua tu huyu aliletwa na ODM, huyu aliletwa na Jubilee na yeye ndiye chairman, because katika commission tutachagua chairman, italeta shida kubwa. So mimi hilo pendekezo la makamishna wa IBC kutolewa na vyama sikubaliani nalo.
Vile vile swala ambalo limeibua tumbo joto na mwanaharakati Mkio Mtata amezungumzia kuhusiana na ile uteuzi wa makamishna wapya, kwamba kidogo Mtata katilia shaka kwamba tume ya huduma za bunge PAC, vile vile na chama cha mawakili humo nchini LSK, na vile vile baraza la kidini kupewa nafasi mbalimbali na rais kuwa na usemi kwa kile kikosi ambacho kitakuwa kinasimamia uteuzi wa makamishna hawa. Pengine nikianza na mheshimiwa Ado, unasema nini kuhusiana na wito wake Mkio Mtata?
Ni vile mwenzangu tu amesema, anything that touches on the independence of the commission, I think is a wrong move. And I don't think many Kenyans, I think all Kenyans agree on that. And that should automatically be removed from this IBC right now. Yeah.
Kwa hivyo kwa mtazamo wako unahisi kwamba swala hili litazingatiwa wakati ambapo Wakenya wameanza kutafuta mianya ya kuingiza maswala kwenye ripoti hiyo, japo kiongozi wa chama cha ODM amesema kwamba ndio kuna nafasi ya kuweza kufanyia marekebisho, lakini itazingatia wale ambao tayari walikuwa wameleta mapendekezo yao kwenye ile jopo la maridhiano, na wanahitaji kufanyia marekebisho kidogo maswala ambao wamewasilisha.
Interest ya wananchi wa Kenya sasa hizi ni kuwa na uncontested referendum. Wakikataa maoni ya watu wengine, basi lazima itakuwa contested. Na hiyo italeta ile vurugu mbaya, italete uhasama kubwa, and it's going to polarize this country even more. I think that's a very wrong move kusema ya kwamba kuna kitu unaweza yani huwezi kubali watu waongeze. Sasa hapo ndio itakuwa shida kubwa. Na hiyo kama hawatabadilisha hiyo mtindo, naona kama itaanguka.
Unasema nini kuhusu swala hili la Okiya Mtata kwa kiduchu tu?
Na mimi nakubaliana na Okiya Mtata kwamba tume ya uchaguzi isingizwe siasa ya vyama, na kama ni uteuzi ufanywe vile umekukifanya pale mwanzoni, ambapo rais ndiye the final appointing authority baada ya hao watu kupitia uteuzi, kupitia katika ule mchakato wa kuangaliwa kupitia kwa bunge. Na sababu niseme hivyo, utakundua kwamba kuhusu lile umesema ya kwamba kiongozi wa chama cha ODM amesema kile kitarekebishwa tu ni spellings, grammar na vitu kama hizo. Jamii ya wafugaji ikasema ABCD inahitaji rekebisho. Tumeona kanisa imefanywa hivyo. Sasa shida ni kwamba imekuwa ni kwamba unasikia leo hii watu wakisema kwamba tunataka ABCD ibadilishwe. Kesho tunasikia wameenda pale Upper Hill, wamekutana na Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, wanasema tutawasikiza.
Ni swala ambalo vile limeibua mdahalo mkali kwamba mbona wanakutana na Raila wasikutane na wale ile jopo ambalo lilikuwa limepewa jukumu hilo. Pengine wazo lako kuhusiana na swala hili, amelibua swala muhimu zaidi kuhusiana na ripoti hii kwamba kwa sasa wanasiasa ndio wanaonekana wakizungumzia kuhusiana na ripoti hii. Hali Mkenya hajapata nakala, hafahamu yale ambayo yako kwenye ripoti. Kama wanafahamu ni wachache zaidi.
No, hiyo tume walipewa timeline na time yao imeisha. So hakuna mtu sasa anaenda kwao unless sasa waongezewe time waambiwe sasa muende msikize tena watu. So sababu hiyo sasa watu wanaenda kwa wanasiasa. So hii product sasa imeoniwa na wanasiasa badala ya wananchi. Na hapo sasa ndio naona
hatari zaidi.
Yes.
Kuhusu swala la muda.
Pengine amalizie tu.
Yes, yeah. So sasa ndio nasema inaleta shida sasa kwa sababu wewe kama mwanasiasa ni wewe ni nani ndio uniambie mimi ya kwamba mimi siwezi ongeza kitu ama ni so kila mtu sasa anasema wewe ni nani, wewe ni nani, wewe ni nani.
Nyoshana vidole.
Yes, sasa inakuwa shida. So lazima sasa warudi tena kwa meza waone vile hii kitu inaweza kuleta uncontested referendum kwa ambayo watu wote wamekubaliana. Yes.
Wazo lako ulikuwa unasema nini?
Nilikuwa nasema kwamba kuhusu hili swala la muda, kwangu sikubaliane na ile dhana kwamba hatuna muda. Kwa nini? Kwanza Kenya hatuko katika crisis ya kikatiba. Na kwamba tuwe na maridhiano na tuwe na referendum ambayo itakuwa na upande wa kukubali na kukataa. Na hilo litafanyika tu kama hii process ya BBI itaachiwa wataalam, si wanasiasa. Sababu nikiangalia naona kama wanasiasa wameweka siasa za mwaka 2022 mbele. So kile kinawezekana hapa ni wale wataalamu ambao walifanya hii draft waongezee hata muda, hata kama ni miezi 6, waite wale watu wote ambao wako na maoni ambayo wanataka yaongezwe na yaongezwe katika hii kitu, so that tusiwe na referendum ambayo itatumia pesa mingi wakati Kenya inahitaji hiyo pesa kupambana na COVID.
Asante. Pengine wazo lako la mwisho.
Yes, nakubaliana na yeye. Na pia kwamba hata saa hizi tume hiyo kati yao wameshindwa kuelewana ya kwamba document ambayo imeletwa ni ile wali draft na wakaweka ama ni nyingine imeletwa. Sasa unaona sasa tena wametushia wasiwasi na
mapendekezo yao.
Yes, zingine zaidi. So vile mheshimiwa amesema irudishwe kwa experts ndio wakuwe wanaongoza hii kitu badala ya wanasiasa. Hapo ndio inaweza kuwa na maridhiano mzuri ambaye watu wote watakubaliana.
Hapo ndipo tamati ya Tamrini ya Channel 1. Asanteni sana kwa kujinafasa kwenye kitengo hiki ambapo bila shaka ni mdahalo ambao utaendelea kila kuchao, ikizira kwamba wanasiasa wanaendeleza kusaka.
Asifiwe. Naitwa Evangelist Collins Njalala Wasilwa kutoka Deliverance Church Kayole pale nyuma ya Masimba Stage, na hudumu chini ya Askofu Robert Dhimba. Wapendwa, ningependa tusome neno kutoka katika kitabu cha Ruth, mlango wake ni wa kwanza, mstari wa kwanza na wa pili. Ikawa zamani za waamuzi walipoamua, kulikuwa na njaa katika nchi. Akaondoka mtu mmoja wa Bethlehemu ya Yuda, akaenda kukaa katika nchi ya Moabu, yeye na mkewe na wanawe wawili. Na jina la mtu huyo aliitwa Elimeleki, na jina la mkewe Naomi, na majina ya wanawe wawili Maloni na Kilioni, wa Efrathi wa Bethlehemu ya Yuda. Wakafika nchi ya Moabu, wakakaa huko. Mpendwa mtazamaji, kitabu hiki ambacho tunasoma kilipewa jina la mwanamke na vitabu viwili, Esther pamoja na Ruth. Katika kitabu cha Esther wanaanza na raha lakini wanamaliza na vita. Kitabu hiki cha Ruth wanaanza na njaa lakini wanamaliza na mavuno. Heri wapendwa, wakati mwingine ni vizuri kupitia katika changamoto, kwa sababu baada ya changamoto tunaweza kupata faraja baadaye. Huyu
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.